The morning sun filtered through the tall windows of the Café Tilde copyright on Maple Street, casting gentle shadows across the empty tables. Sarah Chen sat alone at a corner table, her eyes fixed on the untouched birthday cake before her. 28 candles waited to be lit, but there was no one to sing, no one to celebrate with her. The silence around her was complete, not just because the Café Tilde copyright was nearly empty, but because Sarah had lived in a world without sound since she was 3 years old. She wore a cream-colored dress that her mother had picked out weeks ago, before the argument that had left Sarah spending her birthday alone. The dress was beautiful, elegant even, but it felt hollow somehow. Sarah's blonde hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and despite the sadness in her eyes, she held herself with dignity. Her father, Robert Chen, was one of the wealthiest businessmen in the city, but his money couldn't bridge the gap that had grown between them over the years. He didn't understand her world, didn't understand why she insisted on learning to live independently when he could provide everything for her. Sarah picked up her coffee cup, the warmth seeping into her hands, and stared out the window at the people passing by. Couples walked hand in hand, families laughed together. The world moved around her in a blur of conversations she couldn't hear, connections she couldn't quite reach. She had friends, yes, but they were scattered across the country now, living their own lives. Her mother had promised to be here but had cancelled at the last minute for a charity event. Her father was in meetings all day. As always, a tear slipped down her cheek before she could stop it. 28 years old, and still feeling invisible. Across the Café Tilde copyright, Marcus Anderson was trying to manage his 6-year-old daughter, Emma, who was bouncing with the restless energy only children possess. Marcus wore a simple red polo shirt and dark jeans, his beard neatly trimmed, his eyes kind but tired. Being a single father wasn't easy. Since his wife had passed away 3 years ago, every day had been a careful balance of work, childcare, and trying to give Emma the childhood she deserved. "Daddy, can I have the chocolate muffin?" Emma asked, tugging on his sleeve. "Sure, sweetheart, just one, though. We don't want to spoil your lunch." As Marcus waited for their order, Emma's attention drifted to the woman sitting alone in the corner. Even at 6 years old, Emma had an uncanny ability to sense when someone was sad. She watched as the pretty lady in the cream dress wiped her eyes, staring at a birthday cake with unlit candles. "Daddy," Emma whispered, pulling his hand. "That lady is crying. It's her birthday and she's all alone." Marcus followed his daughter's gaze and felt his heart tighten. There was something profoundly lonely about the scene. The untouched cake, the single coffee cup, the way the woman seemed to be holding herself together by sheer will. "Maybe we should leave her be, honey. Sometimes people need privacy." But Emma shook her head firmly. "No, Daddy, nobody should be alone on their birthday. Can we at least say hello?" Marcus hesitated, then noticed something. The woman was using her phone in an unusual way, typing rapidly and holding it up to show the barista something on the screen. Recognition dawned on him. He'd taken a basic sign language class years ago when his company hired a deaf employee. It had been a long time, but some of it still lingered in his memory. "Okay," he said softly to Emma. "But let me do the talking first." They approached the table slowly, not wanting to startle her. Marcus gently waved his hand in Sarah's peripheral vision before stepping closer. When she looked up, her eyes were guarded, uncertain. Marcus raised his hands and signed slowly, carefully, "Happy birthday." Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. Her hands flew up in response, signing rapidly, too fast for Marcus to follow. He laughed, a warm sound, and shook his head. "I'm sorry," he signed, moving his hands deliberately. "I only know a little, very little." A small smile broke across Sarah's face, the first real smile she'd had all day. She picked up her phone and typed, "Thank you for trying." "That means more than you know." Marcus showed the message to Emma, then pulled out a chair. "May we sit with you?" "Just for a moment. My daughter noticed you were alone, and well, nobody should celebrate their birthday alone." Sarah nodded, and Emma climbed into the chair beside her, beaming with the uninhibited joy of childhood. "I'm Emma, and this is my daddy, Marcus," the little girl announced. "How old are you today?" Sarah held up both hands, fingers spread, then did it again with 8 fingers. Emma's eyes went wide. 28. "That's really old," Marcus groaned, and Sarah laughed, a silent laugh that lit up her whole face. She typed on her phone, "Not that old, but some days I feel ancient." What started as a brief hello turned into an hour, then two. Marcus and Emma stayed, and somehow, the Café Tilde copyright staff sensed something special was happening. They brought matches for the candles without being asked. Emma insisted on singing Happy Birthday at the top of her lungs, her small hands clapping together even though Sarah couldn't hear the melody. But she could see the joy in the little girl's face, could feel the vibration of the singing through the table, and it filled something in her that had been empty. Marcus pulled out his phone and found a sign language app, typing questions and showing Sarah his clumsy attempts to sign her responses. They talked about everything and nothing. Sarah learned that Marcus taught elementary school and that Emma loved butterflies and wanted to be a veterinarian when she grew up. Marcus learned that Sarah volunteered at an art center for disabled children and that she painted in her spare time, abstract pieces full of color and emotion. "My dad thinks it's a waste of time," Sarah typed. "He wants me to work for his company, to have a real job. But I love working with the kids. They don't see my deafness as a limitation, they just see me." Marcus read the words and felt a familiar ache. "My wife used to say that the best job is the one that fills your heart, not just your bank account." She was a social worker, didn't make much money, but she changed lives every day. They shared stories of loss and hope, of struggling to find their place in a world that didn't always make room for them. Emma cut 3 slices of cake, insisting that everyone have a piece. The birthday that had started in loneliness was transforming into something beautiful. As the afternoon sun began to fade, Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from her father. "Sorry I missed your birthday. Emergency meeting ran late. I've transferred $10,000 to your account. Buy yourself something nice." She stared at the message for a long moment, then showed it to Marcus. His expression was complicated, understanding but sad. "Money is easy," he said, speaking slowly so she could read his lips. "Being present is hard." Sarah nodded, tears forming again. But this time they weren't tears of loneliness. They were tears of being understood. Before they left, Marcus took out a piece of paper and wrote his phone number. "Emma and I would love to see you again. Maybe you could teach us proper sign language, and Emma's been begging for art lessons." Sarah took the paper, holding it like it was precious. She typed one last message. "This was the best birthday I've ever had. Thank you for seeing me." As Marcus and Emma walked away, Emma turned back and waved enthusiastically. Sarah waved back, her smile genuine and warm. That evening, Sarah sent her father a message. "The best gift you could give me is your time. The rest doesn't matter." And for the first time in years, Robert Chen read his daughter's words and truly heard them. Sometimes it takes a stranger's kindness to remind us what really matters. Sometimes the greatest gift we can give is simply showing up, being present, and letting someone know they're not invisible. Sarah kept that piece of paper with Marcus's number in her wallet. 3 days later, she called. 6 months later, she and Marcus were teaching sign language classes together at Emma's school. A year later, Emma was the flower girl at their wedding. But that day in the Café Tilde copyright, none of them knew what the future held. They only knew that a simple act of kindness had changed everything. That sometimes, the most profound connections happen when we step outside ourselves and notice the person sitting alone, holding their pain quietly, waiting for someone to simply see them.